Skol Vikings, let's win this game. Skol Vikings, honor your name. Go get that first down, then get a touchdown. Rock 'em, sock 'em, fight, 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 fight. Go Vikings, run up the score. You'll hear us yell for more. Beat the king.
I'm surrounded by a sea of purple and gold. I can smell the aroma of burgers, hot dogs, and bratwurst cooking over an open flame. I hear sidewalk vendors shouting, "Get your programs here!" It can only mean one thing. It's game day in Minnesota, baby. Sadly, this could all come to an end in 2012. After the 2011 NFL season, the Minnesota Vikings lease at their current stadium, the Metrodome, expires. There are politicians and fans right now in the state of Minnesota that believe that the Vikings do not need a new stadium and their current one is fine. I'm here today to tell you the Vikings need a new stadium. I'm going to compare the Vikings' revenue against the revenue of other teams with newer stadiums. I'm going to tell you about the facts of their current stadium, the aging Metrodome, and I'm going to explain to you the effect the Vikings leaving town would have on the state of Minnesota. I'll begin by comparing the Vikings' revenue against the revenues of other teams with newer stadiums. Now, just like any other business, the NFL is there to make money. In 2010, according to Forbes.com, the Minnesota Vikings made $17.9 million, which only ranked 25th among 32 NFL teams. And according to Nielsen.com, the Minneapolis-St. Paul area has the 15th largest television market in the country. Now, the following facts I also got from the Nielsen.com and Forbes.com websites, and they're based on teams that have similar or smaller television market sizes. I'll begin with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who play in Raymond James Stadium, built in 1998. In 2010, the Buccaneers made $66.5 million and ranked 4th in the NFL. Also in 2010, the Indianapolis Colts, who play in the brand new Lucas Oil Stadium, built in 2008, made $43.2 million, and that ranked them 8th in the NFL. Finally, the Cincinnati Bengals, who rank 34th in the Nielsen.com market, as a television market, made $49.4 million, ranking them number 5th. Their stadium, Paul Brown Stadium, was built in the year 2000. Now, as you can see, numbers make a difference. Those stadiums are at least 16 years newer than the Metrodome, and each of those teams has made at least $25 million more than the Vikings. So now that I've compared the revenues of teams with newer stadiums with the Vikings' revenues, I'm going to explain to you a little bit about the aging Metrodome. In December of 2010, a massive snowstorm struck the state of Minnesota. The effects the snowstorm had on the aging Metrodome were absolutely devastating.
We've got some exclusive footage from the Metrodome last night. Snow leaking in the roof, and the roof collapsed this morning.
Built in 1982, its roof has collapsed 4 times, 5 if you include during its construction in 1981. Snow has been the cause of 4 or 5 of those collapses. The 5th was due to high winds during a baseball game in 1986 against the California Angels. According to Tom Weir from the USA Today, the latest replacement of the Metrodome roof cost $22 million. Repairs of up to $40 million have been made on the roof since 1982. Also, the location of the Metrodome in downtown Minneapolis can cause for a parking nightmare during game day. The Vikings would benefit greatly if the stadium was built away from downtown in a more open area, allowing for better tailgating and an all-around better game day experience. So now that I've told you a little bit about the aging Metrodome, I'm going to explain to you the economic effect the state of Minnesota would feel if the Vikings were to leave town for, Los Angeles, for instance. The Los Angeles Vikings just doesn't sound right to me. And if fans don't think that the Vikings will up and move, they should ask Cleveland Browns fans whose team left for Baltimore in 1996. The NFL generates millions of dollars in cities which they occupy or have teams. These monies are generated from taxes, parking revenues, visiting teams' players, owners, you name it. Now, according to an article written by Jay Wayner on MinPost.com, the Vikings players, visiting players, and owners alone would generate $12.5 million for the city of Minneapolis. The new sales tax generated for the stadium, according to him, also would generate about $5 million of taxes. A new Viking stadium would also generate new long-term and short-term jobs. Short-term jobs would be generated by the construction of the stadium itself and the infrastructure that surrounds the stadium. Long-term jobs would be created by new bars, restaurants, hotels, shopping that's projected to be created from the construction of a new stadium. So, now that I've told you about why the Vikings need a new stadium, I'll remind you. I've compared the Vikings' revenues to the revenues of those of other NFL franchises with newer stadiums. I've told you about the aging Metrodome, and I've explained to you the economic effect the Vikings would have on the state of Minnesota if they were to leave town. Minnesota fans feel the effects of losing teams in the past. It can happen. Their NBA's Lakers left for Los Angeles in the 1950s. The NHL's North Stars left for Dallas in 1993. The Los Angeles Vikings doesn't sound right to me. Vikings, Skol Vikings, let's go!